Vladimir Putin wins by a landslide. With this victory in Sunday's presidential election, Putin will lead Russia for another 6 years. After the early results were declared, Putin said voters had recognized the achievements of the last few years. The scale of the victory is a marked increase in Putin's share of the vote from 2012, when he won 64%. Putin's electoral power has pivoted on stability, a quality cherished by Russians after the chaotic dissolution of the Soviet Union and the wild capitalism of the Yeltsin years.
We can expect from Putin a continuation of the policies that we have seen since the year 2000. Since the end of the Soviet Union and the disastrous leaderships that came afterwards, as mass privatizations destroyed the economy and cut the life expectancy of the average Russian by a significant amount. Much of this recovery has occurred underneath the leadership of Vladimir Putin, who's not only done a great deal to repair the economy, but bring Russia back to a point where it is a major player in world affairs. Once again, I think that with this new fourth term by President Putin, we can see a continuation of those policies.
The Russian election came amid rising tensions with the West, with reports that Moscow was behind the nerve agent poisoning of a former Russian double agent in Britain and the alleged hacking of the 2016 US presidential election. Last week, Britain and Russia announced the expulsions of diplomats over the spy case, and the US issued new sanctions. While Putin's re-election has never been in doubt, what his fourth term is going to bring is a more open question.
Because of this now new increased legitimacy of his presidency, there will be greater and greater attacks upon Russia. The hope was that the United States could cause enough damage to possibly cause Putin to lose the election. This is a common U.S. tactic. Try to destabilize or damage an economy enough that people will see that the current leader is the problem and try to remove them from office, thinking everything will just be better as a result. This is something that the United States has used over and over again. And now with Putin winning by such a large majority, this may spur the United States and other Western powers to continue to increase those hostilities towards Russia in an attempt to destabilize its economy, to destabilize the rightful government. So we can probably see a much more aggressive West towards the Russian people, to the country of Russia in the immediate future.
In recent years, several themes have emerged from the Kremlin, such as conservatism, orthodoxy, and sovereignty. The last one became the Kremlin's motto following NATO's intervention in Kosovo in 1999. Putin's recent interest in national sovereignty came in a 2013 op-ed in the New York Times, in which he made the case for using international law to counter America's unilateral intervention in Syria. Since then, Moscow has emphasized national sovereignty that gives states full authority over their territories, in contrast to the Western notion of a government's limited sovereignty.
Now that there are so many people on the side of Vladimir Putin in the country, given the electoral results, this will give Putin the freedom to act much more aggressively towards the enemies of the country, much more aggressively towards the enemies of the Syrian people. This cooperation, of course, is always a political maneuver. It's something that has to be balanced against the public perception to try to avoid taking any kind of acts that would decrease someone's popularity. But with such overwhelming support from the election, I think that Russia can now act much more aggressively in this situation. They can offer much more assistance to the government of Bashar al-Assad without worrying about public opinion so much in this case. So I think the United States can probably look forward to a much more difficult struggle inside of Syria now that Russia is seemingly willing to act in a much more aggressive manner.
Since he came to power in 1999, Putin has become synonymous with modern Russia. By the end of his fourth presidential term in 2024, Putin will have ruled Russia for longer than any other Russian or Soviet leader besides Stalin.